says Syrian Minister of Foreign Affairs and expertise from it in the category rejections of all forms of internal interference in its inter-affairs. Syrian state media says on April 30th, the recent calls of outlawed groups that have been participating in violence on Syrian soil to demand a so-called international protection are illegal and completely rejected. The SANA noted. It says those appeals to come from parties operating outside the framework of Syrian law in a clear attempt to internationalize a situation that must be addressed exclusively within the institutes of Syrian state. These actions present a direct threat to the unity of the country and undermining of national efforts to restore security and stability throughout the country, the Syrian foreign minister said in a statement Wednesday. The Syrian Ministry of Foreign Affairs also affirmed its unwavering commitment to protecting all components of the Syrian people, without exception, including the honorable Druze community, which has always remained an integral part of the Syrian's national fabric. It says the statement also stated that the Syrian government expressed its deepening appreciation from the wise of and responsible role played by the number of Druze sheikhs and leaders in the extinguishing of the fire ascribed and preserving civil peace. As it says, once again, Syrian attacks and Druze could be collision course with Israel analysts. Bring up that Luke 21 verse 25. And this is the book of Luke 21 verse 25. It says, and there shall be signs in the sun and the moon and the stars upon the earth, the scores of nations will perplex the seasons one. Right, so as of lately, Syria definitely been a hot zone area, especially with these latest clashes that have been happening with these different organization factors. And you have Israel Defense Force once again send a clear message in that area where they've been using heavy airstrikes. And they definitely been targeting the pro-Iranian groups. And then I believe they target some groups over there in that region. So that shows you that we're going to be seeing more escalations back and forth heating up over there in Syria, especially over there in Damascus of Syria, because you're still going to have the Israel Defense Force using heavy airstrike targeting those proxy groups and the pro-Iranian groups as well, too. Word that again, Luke 21 verse 25, and there shall be signs in the sun and the stars upon the earth, the scores of nations will perplex the seasons word. And that's what we're seeing. Increasing seditions, uprises, uproars, people of the world, nation against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And this is Ecclesiasticus 3 and verse 8. And a time to love, and a time of HATE, and a time it says a time to love, and a time of HATE, and a time of war, and a time of peace, right? So we left living in a time of HATE and a time of war as well too, which we see increasing. And this is Second Esdras 9 and verse 3. It says, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars be the world, right? So that's what we're seeing, increasing earthquakes and increasing uproars be the world. Second Esdras 15 and verse 15. It says, for the sword that destruction draweth nigh, and one people should stand up and fight against another with swords in hands. Right, so we see in these proxy wars, nuclear wars, seditions, uprises, and uproars be the world, nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. Second Esdras 15 verse 16, for there shall be sedition among men, invading one another. Right, because we see in the India-Pakistan border dispute, we see in those proxy wars that's taking place over there in Syria, in Iraq, and Lebanon, throughout that whole region, between the nations and proxy wars between the nations. It said, for there shall be sedition among men, invading one another. They shall not regard their kings, nor their princes, and of course the action stand in power. Right, so we see in these uptick of protests, uptick of uproars, people of the world, and these nations are rising against their leaders of power. So we're seeing signs of that. And this is Prophet Joel, chapter 3, verse 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty man, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Right, that's what we're seeing between these arms of nations are rising against one another. And that's building up more uproars of people, more escalations, more seditions between the nations. And we're seeing these nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and building up of wars and rumors of wars. So this is definitely being proclaimed among the Gentiles and the arms of nations, because we're seeing increasing in the stress of nations where perplexity sees rich ones. So we're seeing signs of that. So once again, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty man, let all the men of war draw near, let them come near. Right now, that's what we're seeing. Nuclear escalations of tensions are heating up between the nations, especially throughout over there in Western Asia. Joel chapter 3, verse 10. Beat your plowshares and swords and plenty hooks and spears, let the weak sons strong. Right, these arms of nations, these proxy groups, and these nuclear nations building up their nuclear capability against their adversaries. So we're going to be seeing more military spending, more military exercise drills, and more nuclear escalations of tensions are going to continue to increase between these nations, and let the weak stand strong. And that's what we're seeing. And this is the book of Matthew, chapter 24, in verse 6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must first come to pass, but the end is not yet. Right, so these wars and rumors of wars is going to come to pass, but not going to end just yet. So that's why we're seeing nuclear wars and wars, rumors of wars are heating up between the nations. Matthew 24, verse 7. Red letter, Yahweh speaking. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence, earthquakes in diverse places. Right, so that's what we're seeing, modern day earthquakes in diverse places, modern day famines and pestilence, modern day kingdom against kingdom, and nation against nation, and these modern day wars and rumors of wars. Matthew 24 and verse 8. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Right, so these is the increasing of beginning of sorrows of these modern day biblical signs and signs of times that we're seeing. It's the book of Revelations 11 and verse 14. The second won't pass, behold, the third will come quickly. Right, so the second won't pass, behold, the third will come quickly, which is Armageddon, Armageddon 1. So we see the signs of that, the building up to the third war's war. So as it says once again, Syrian attacks on Druze could be a collision course with Israel, analyst reports. And this is it says Independence Day events canceled countrywide. IDF strikes Syria. Authorities tackle multi-front fires. It says Israeli forces continue to operate in various fire sites, evacuating citizens from the danger zone. It says Israeli forces work to extinguish Jerusalem fires with the Shem-Hassan aircraft. Let's see if I can get it.
We live.
Let's see if I can take the volume off of that. Guess I'll wait this to go past. It says footage within the Shemshan aircraft as of April 30th, 2025. Right, because they've been having some type of wildfires. I believe the arsonist, I believe they had arrested him. There was some wildfires over there in Jerusalem. So that's the top overview of those latest fires that have taken place over there. Yep, it says Israeli police arrest suspect allegedly attempts to start Jerusalem fires. It says a man was arrested who allegedly attempts to ignite an open field in southern Jerusalem. It says the Israeli police announced on Wednesday a civilian reported the suspected a man in his 50s from the Yom Tubo, a neighboring of eastern Jerusalem, and the man was caught after a short pursuit. A lighter caught in Dishnu and this reads. materials were found in his possession. The suspect in his 50s were taken in for questioning, police stated. It says Meteorological Service warns severe weather and conditions continue to amend blazes. Firefighters have been maintaining in this close contact with the Meteorological Service as they work to contain multiple fire blazes. And this is a news article, once again, from the Jerusalem Post as of April 30th, 2025, and it reads, the last updated April 30th, 2025. It says, groups infiltration alert silence sounds in the Jebla and Bayan West Bank. The group's infiltration alert siren sounds in the West Bank late Wednesday night. It says the Bayan Region Council issued a warning to the residents following the breach. You should stay indoors at this stage. Do not go outside. Emergency forces have been deployed and soldiers are on the way to the settlement. This is a developing story. And this is the book of St. Mark, chapter 13, and verse 7. It says, and when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for such things must need be, but the end shall not be yet. St. Mark 13, verse 8, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be earthquakes in diverse places, and there shall be famines and troubles. These are the beginning of sorrows. Once again, this is the book of Luke 21 and verse 20. This is the book of Luke 21, verse 25. And there shall be signs in the sun and the moon and the stars upon the earth. Disgrace of nations will perplex and seize much war. It says Ukraine backtracks on resources deal, the U.S. Treasury reports. And this is a news article from the Jerusalem Post. As we've been seeing, Kim Jong-un been building up his nuclear capability of the ongoing amending tensions that he have towards South Korea, Japan, the United States over there in the Korean Peninsula. And then we've been seeing the alliance been increasing between Russia and North Korea from previous years as recently, as I add a side note to that. And this is a news article as of April 30th, 2025 from the RT.com that reads, Kim Jong-un demands nuclear navy. The North Korean leader has said the move would help defend state maritime sovereignty. It says North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has called to accelerate arming the North Korean Navy with nuclear weapons. The Korean Central News Agency, the KCNY, reported on Wednesday. Kim has made a statement while attending a weapon system test of the DPRK's Choljang multi-mission destroyer ships after witnessing the demonstration. He is said to have noted that the warship firepower still relies on the conventional weapon and cannot be called a reliable means of the maritime defense. It is high time to make a responsible option for accelerating the nuclearization of the Navy in order to defend the state and its maritime sovereignty for existing the future threats. And we know who those future threats is, which is South Korea, Japan, the United States, over there in the Korean Peninsula. It says Kim announced, according to the KCNA, Russia has also pledged to help protect North Korea if such a needed arises. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov told reporters earlier this week that the defense agreement between Moscow and Pyongyang is still in effect. The deal obligates both parties to provide immediately military assistance to each other if necessary. The partnership treaty was signed by Russian President Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un in June of 2024 after North Korea troops officially joined Moscow's military operation aimed to repelling in the Ukrainian incursion into Russia's Kursk region. It says Putin has expressed interest, gratitude to Pyongyang soldiers for the role that they play in liberating the region and noted that they have demonstrated a great deal of heroism, high level of specialized training and bravery. Once again, this is Luke 21 and verse 9. But when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by. Right, so we're going to be seeing wars and commotions between the nations, building up that warlike mindset, like it says in Joel at the 3rd chapter. Luke 21 verse 10. Then say he unto them, nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. Right, as we see in modern day nations against modern day nations, modern day kingdoms against modern day kingdoms. Luke 21 verse 11. And great earthquakes shall be in diverse places, and famines and pestilence and fearful sights and great signs shall be from heaven. It says Zelensky openly threatens Victory Day attack, Moscow reports. Right, because Vladimir Putin a couple of days ago announced a 3-day ceasefire, to commemorate the World War II of Victory Day. So once that 3 days are up, starting on May the 8th, once that 3 days are up, I would say from March the 8th to May the 8th, all the way to May the 11th, once the 3 days ceasefire up as they commemorate that Victory Day. So we're going to see the escalation is going to heat up once again. It's going to resume once again between the Russia-Ukraine situation. As it says, Zelensky openly threatened Victory Day attack, Moscow reports. So that's another sign of nation against nation, the kingdom against kingdom, and the building up to the wars, rumors of wars. It says West stepping up maritime TERR or RISM Putin A reports. And this is another sign of wars or rumors of wars, what's been heating up over there in the Red Sea. It says, as of April 30th, 2025, UK joins U.S. airstrikes against the Houthis in Yemen. The joint strike comes after a alleged U.S. attack on a detention center holding African migrants that reportedly killed dozens. The UK has begun to support the U.S. in the attacks in Yemen and Houthis military. The British military of defense said on Wednesday its forces have conducted joint airstrikes against what it claims was a Houthi-controlled military facilities. The developments came against the backdrop of the Houthi-linked reports stating that another U.S. attack hit a migrant detention center, killing dozens of civilian deaths and at least 68 African migrants were killed in a strike on the facility on Monday. The military Al Masra TV channel reported, adding that 47 people were injured, and a U.S. defense official said that the nation's military were aware of the claims about the civilian casualties. The U.S. President Donald Trump launched a large scale of air and naval strikes, campaigning against the Yemen-based Houthi targets last month to protect shipping in the Red Sea from the Houthi attacks. According to the London Royal Force, the RAF Typhoon fighter jets and a U.S. warplane struck a cluster of buildings located about 15 miles south of the capital of the SANAA. On Tuesday, the facilities were reported used by the Houthis to manufacture drones for attacks on the ships in the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden. The Houthis have been targeting vessels they associate with Israel as part of the strategic strategy to pressure West Jerusalem over its military operations in Gaza. Israel launched its campaign following a deadly raid by the Palestinian militant groups Hamas in October 2023. The rebels controls western Yemen, including the capital and the strategic port of Hudaydah. In support of the Palestinians in Gaza, and Houthis have launched kamikaze drones and missiles and commercial ships and fired ballistic missiles at Red Sea. They have stated that their attacks once Israel in campaigns against Hamas. It says President Trump has instructed the Pentagon to intensify strikes in Yemen, warning that the Houthis will be completely annihilated if they do not stop targeting shippings in the Red Sea. Once again, this is the book of Matthew, chapter 24, in verse 7. I'm going to start at verse 6 once again. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. Right, that's a sign of wars and rumors of wars was taking place over there in the Red Sea. Great Britain, the United States, and the IDF versus the Israel Defense Force. Versus the pro-Iranian groups over there in the Red Sea. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must first come to pass, but the end is not yet. Matthew 24, verse 7. For nation shall rise against nation, which goes into F notes. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. Once again, this is the book of Revelations. 11 verse 14. The second will pass, behold, the third will come quickly. So with that, hopefully this sit down. That was edifying of the prophecy updates for part 1 and part 2 as of April the 30th, 2025 on this Wednesday afternoon. So with that, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'Hashem Akarkadash. And the Heavenly Father, the true name is Yahweh, and His unbegotten Son, Ba'Hashem, and the name Hamashiach Yahushua. Those are their true names in the ancient Paleo-Hebrew, the Lashon Kodash tongue. And I say Barak Thumb to the elders and apostles, Wa'akim Wa'akwaf. Until next time, I would say Shalom.